Welcome to part 4 of my Hunnic Empire campaign and the 25-year challenge. Rome is now my subject. Due to the last war, Emperor Maximus was captured and must now supply me with troops and gold on a monthly basis. But this should only be the beginning, and so welcome to CK3, TheFallenEagle. Through the victory against Emperor Maximus, the entire Eastern Roman Empire was now more or less under my control. In addition, my revenues and my army size will increase, as Maximus will have to give me a monthly contribution each. Oh, they're in debt as fuck, but I don't care. While I was at war with Rome, my allies in the east were losing a civil war, and I was hoping that they would crumble, for my room for maneuver was extremely limited between these empires. In the following years, the empire remained stable under Conquest. The next war was against the tribe of Saracen, as they possessed all parts of the empire which I demanded back. The following wars were against northern tribes, and battle by battle I made progress. I even had the final means to improve my throne room. The goal was to remain as stable as possible, so I tried to hold back with conquests as far as possible. But when I saw that Gathia was inferior to me, I couldn't help it. Has only 2,000 troops. When, if not now? With a series of victories, I decimated the enemy armies and raided one city after another. Defeating Gathia feels really good. But before I had completely won the war, Conquest died and his son Venda ascended the throne. Now Venda must prove himself to lead the empire further into a glorious future. And unlike many of his ancestors, he had good starting conditions. However, my hold on the Roman emperor was now also over, and I was sure that he was not well disposed towards our people. In the meantime, I was busy keeping everything under control and bringing peace back to the empire. In the next few days I received a visit from Hunnic, who was the leader of the Conquest Empire. He warned me about my vassals, but I trusted them. And first I ended the war with Gathia. But Hunnic's warning was more serious than I thought, and I found myself in a civil war soon after. But with the help of my allies, I was able to defeat it. However, the next few years the empire recovered, and with a strong policy and enough money and soldiers, I had hope that the empire was well prepared for the coming years. I mean, it had already held together in weaker states. My hopes were high. After a short time, the empire was in many wars. Not in its own course, but to help allies. Everything remained stable so far, but suddenly, out of nowhere, everything changed. What? What just happened? Why are they free? Was there a civil war, which I lost? I had no idea why the empire had collapsed, but the only solution I had was that Venda had granted the enemy faction their wish without it coming to war. I was very devastated by the renewed collapse of the empire, but that was not all. After another civil war, the empire collapsed again, and in the meantime I just sat in front of my computer and thought about ending the whole campaign here. But I decided to try one last time with the remaining parts of the empire. When I came back, the empire was in the process of losing more territories, if you can still speak of an empire at all. The war was a lost cause, and so I gave up on it to save troops and time. The next step was to keep an eye on the remaining vassals, even though they had no real power anymore. I wasted no time and began to recapture smaller areas, because it was important not to give up hope. And through victories in battle, perhaps more courage would return to all the remaining inhabitants of the empire. But it was not to be that easy, for no sooner than I had started my second war, the empire was attacked by a Persian vassal. Now, it was time to not give up. I sent my soldiers as quickly as possible to conquer the neighboring tribe. Furthermore, I was able to quickly negotiate an alliance and thus balance the balance of power. In the following battles, I was able to crush the attacker several times, and so I slowly fought my way towards victory. But once again, an enemy tribe came and started new wars against me, which I simply surrendered. But I was able to repel the Persian attack. However, there was not much time to celebrate, because we wanted to rebuild an empire here. And after further wars, Khagan Khomashus was forced with a decision about the next great war. Either he could reconquer large parts of the old empire or take a completely new and bold road. And his decision fell on the new path, which would usher in a new age if it succeeded. The next war was an invasion into the heart of the Eastern Roman Empire. Thanks to my vassals, I had a military advantage. However, Rome won the first battles and a vassal rebellion took place. But with the arrival of one of my allies, I was able to push back the rebels and make an advance into Roman territory. Further sieges followed, and I was even able to conquer Constantinople and to decide the war for myself. This one war changed everything. Now I only had to try to hold these territories and turn the Romans into Huns. My new capital was of course Constantinople. It was not long before the first furious Roman revolts took place, but once again the 25 years were over, and I had to entrust the fate of my new empire to the AI.